Hello, friends. I just thought I'd go live here. The House is finally back. They were supposed to be back at 2:30, and now it's 3:45, and they're finally here. So let's watch together.
For the second reading calendar.
April 2nd, 2025. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Judiciary
the
Rules
Senate's
and
about to come back, too.
Administration, report that we have enrolled House Bills 398.
Wonder where they were. Maybe they were having a luncheon.
457, SCOG, Chairman.
House Bill 398 and 339 and 457 will be signed by the Speaker and returned to the Senate for the signature of the Senate President.
April 2nd, 2025. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration, report that we have engrossed House Bills 180 as amended in the Senate, 253 as amended in the Senate, and 130 as amended in the Senate, SCOG, Chairman.
House Bill 180 is amended in the Senate, 253 is amended in the Senate, 130 is amended in the Senate, We filed for the first reading calendar engrossed.
A lot of amended in the Senate there.
2025. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration, report that we have transmitted enrolled House Bills 444, 448, 451, 452, 453, and 454 to the Governor at 11:11 a.m. as of this date, April 2nd, 2025, SCOG, Chairman. April 2nd, 2025, Mr. Speaker.
We'll see if they get to the new Medical Freedom Act, House Bill 472 that Representative Beiswinger introduced this morning.
That it do pass. E. Hart, Chairman.
Senate Bill 1187 be filed for the second reading calendar.
April 2nd, 2025, Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on Transportation and Defense, report that we have had under consideration Senate Bill 1180 and report it back without recommendation. Palmer, Chairman.
Senate Bill 1180 will be filed for the second reading calendar.
There's no further business in the fifth order.
Two.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for a privilege and a motion.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you. Good ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 1181 is on general orders right now. The sponsor of the amendments has pulled their amendments on that. Chairman and sponsor of the bill are okay with that moving back out onto the second reading. And with that, I ask unanimous consent that Senate Bill 1181 from general orders be placed on the second reading calendar.
Unanimous consent has been requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
I think that's the public defender
will advance to the
rules.
eighth order of business. First reading of bills and joint resolutions. House at the eighth order of business.
From the Senate, Senate Bill 1125 by State Affairs Committee, an act relating to the Constitutional Defense Council, amending Chapter 63, Title 67, Idaho Code by the addition of a new Section 676303 Idaho Code to establish provisions regarding assistance to political subdivisions for the defense of state law and declaring an emergency
Senate's
and
back at
providing
ease.
an effective date.
Senate Bill 1125 will refer to the Judiciary Rules Administration Committee. The House now advanced to the ninth order of business. First reading of engrossed House bills, the House at the ninth order of business.
House Bill 180 as amended in the Senate by Local Government Committee regarding broadband infrastructure. House Bill 253 as amended in the Senate by State Affairs Committee regarding public records. House Bill 130 as amended in the Senate by Revenue and Taxation Committee regarding property taxes.
House Bill 180 is amended in the Senate. House Bill 253 is amended in the Senate. House Bill 130 is amended in the Senate, be filed for the second reading calendar. Without objection, the House will now advance to 12th order of business, consideration of general orders. Good gentleman from 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House do now resolve itself into Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders.
No.
Gentleman
Exciting.
15.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Thank you. You've heard the motion to resolve into the Committee of the Whole. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. The motion passes. The committee is resolved in the Committee of the Whole. Will the gentleman 14 please come forward?
Boom. In case you don't get what they're doing, a committee of the whole instead of a standing committee like the State Affairs Committee or the Education Committee, committee of the whole is literally the whole House. Republicans, Democrats, all 70 members. The assistant majority leader usually chairs that committee. So that's, in this case, it's Representative Tanner. And they're going to go through the bills that have been waiting in general orders. Over in the Senate, they call it the 14th order, but it's the same thing. It's the amending order. It's the place where bills can be amended. And each of the sponsors will have presented an amendment already to the secretary, and they'll have copies, and everyone will be able to read them. We can't read them yet unless someone shares it. But we'll see what the debate is on some of these amendments.
Committee as a whole will be in order. Before the clerk reads, we'll just be warning the good gentleman from 10 that if he messes around, I will have him removed from the chambers.
A little too much fun.
The clerk may read.
April 2nd, 2025. House Joint Memorial 2 by Environment, Energy, and Technology Committee regarding energy. House Bill 387 by State Affairs Committee regarding windmill bonding. Senate Bill 1066 as amended by Commerce and Human Resources Committee regarding identity theft. House Bill 437 by Revenue and Taxation Committee regarding community infrastructure districts. House Concurrent
Well, if
Resolution
they're going to get to the
19 by
medical
State
freedom
Affairs
stuff,
Committee
it's not going to be
regarding
for a while.
electricity study. Senate Bill 1142 by State Affairs Committee regarding education. Senate Bill 1198 by State Affairs Committee regarding education. House Bill 379 by State Affairs Committee regarding transparency and state official travel.
Good gentleman from 22.
Mr. Chairman, I move that when the committee rise, it report that is had under consideration House Joint Memorial 2, report progress, beg leave sit again.
When are you going to have a chance to sit again?
Chairman, I second the motion.
Heard the motion. All those
Home
in favor
stretch
say
here.
aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Good
Joint
gentleman from
Memorial
22.
2 has been
Mr.
sitting
Chairman, I
in.
move that when the committee rise, it report that it's had under consideration House Bill 387, report progress, and beg leave to sit again.
387. Going too fast here.
Chairman, I second the
387 is
Heard the
windmill
motion. All
bonding.
those in favor state by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Good gentleman from 22.
Mr. Chairman, I move that when the committee rise, it report that it's had under consideration Senate Bill 1066 is amended and report progress to beg leave sit again.
66
Chairman,
is
I second
credit
the
monitoring of data breaches.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor state by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Good gentleman from 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, sorry. Mr. Chairman, I move that when the committee rise, a report that is had under consideration House Bill 437, report progress, beg leave sit again.
437
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
community
All
infrastructure
heard the motion.
districts.
All those in favor state by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Good gentleman from 22.
Mr. Chairman, I move that when the committee rise, a report is had under consideration House Concurrent Resolution 19, report progress, and beg leave to sit again.
HTR 19 is a study committee on
Mr. Chairman, I
electricity.
second the motion.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor state by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. The committee will now have under consideration Senate Bill number 1142. Are there amendments to the bill?
Yes, it has been moved by Representative Monk, seconded by Representative Tanner 14, that the amendment to the bill be adopted.
There are no objections. The amendments to the bill will be considered read. The chair recognizes the representative from District 22.
This
to
is the
open debate.
Empowering Parents repeal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Passed
Senate Bill
the
1242
Senate 32 to 3.
Takes our Empowering Parents program and it stops it. And this amendment, on this particular amendment on the bill, is what it says is that as the effective date of whenever this bill would pass, that no new grants can go out. The reason that's important because individuals who apply for awards, I think awards is the proper term, from Empowering Parents, they can have 3 years to spend that funds, and that's how the program is set up with parents right now. This says that when the bill, if this bill passes, that no more awards will go out from the day that it passes, and that's what this particular amendment does.
Thank you, good gentlemen. Is there any further debate in favor of the amendment? Is there any debate against the amendment? Hearing none. The question is, shall the amendment to the section be adopted? All those in favor say by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion has carried, and the amendments to the bill will be adopted. Are there amendments to section 6?
Yes, it has been moved by Representative Monk, seconded by Representative Tanner 14, that the amendment to Section 6 be adopted.
So there's another amendment to the
Gentleman
same
22.
bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on, I apologize. If there are no objections, the amendment to section 6 will be considered read. The chair recognizes the representative from 22 open debate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Section 6, the amendment here, it says that after this period of time that we allowed individuals to spend the money that had already been awarded to them, that on 3 years from now, that's when the awards, they have the last day at which they could utilize those funds that were awarded, that the money reverts back into the general fund, any remaining balances within that fund. So we've stopped the program, no new awards go out. This says they've got their time to spend it like was already promised, and it just says that at the end of that, then that money goes back into general funds at that point.
Is there any
Once these-
further debate in favor of the amendment? Is there any further debate in opposition to the amendment? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall the amendments to section 6 be adopted? All those in favor state by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is carried, and the amendments to Section 6 will be adopted. Are there amendments to Section 8?
Yes, has been moved by Representative Monk, seconded by Representative
Another
Tanner
amendment.
14, that the amendment to
Tweaking
Section
this
8
bill
be
just a little
adopted.
bit.
There are no objections. The amendment to Section 8 will be considered read. The chair recognizes the representative from 22 to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Section 8, it renumbers everything because we changed things around. And so this is the section that actually just renumbers what we had done with those amendments.
Is there any further debate in favor of the amendment? Is there any debate in opposition to the amendment?
So what
Hearing
they're
none,
doing
the
now
debate
is they're
closed.
just
The question
approving the
is, shall amendments
amendments.
to Section 8 be adopted? All those in favor state by saying aye.
After this,
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried, and the amendment to Section 8 adopted.
the amendments will be
Is there a correction
engrossed
to that?
into the bill, worked
Yes,
into
has
the
been
actual
moved by
bill. We'll
Representative
be able to
Monk,
see the
seconded
text.
by Representative Tanner 14, that the title be corrected.
And then
There are no objections.
it
The
still has to
section
come
entitled
before the House
Senate
for
Bill
a vote.
1142 will be considered
And then
read.
since it's been now
All
changed
heard
from the
motion
bill that the
for
Senate
correction of the title.
approved,
All those
it has
in
to go back to
favor
the
state by
Senate for
saying
another
aye.
vote.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried, and the correction to the title is adopted. Good gentleman for 22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that when the committee rise, it report has had under consideration Senate Bill 1142 and report it back with amendments and without recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
Yep. You've all heard the motion. All those in favor state by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Committee will now have under consideration Senate Bill 1198. Are there amendments to Section 2?
Yes, it has been moved by Representative Ehart, seconded by Representative Hawkins, that the amendment to Section 2 be adopted.
There are no objections. The amendment to Section 2 will be considered read. The chair recognizes the representative from District 33 to open debate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the long-awaited for DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, relating to our higher education. There's been a couple of amendments made from the Senate, and the couple of the amendments include my phone going off. I'm so sorry. A couple of the amendments include removing language that unnecessarily addresses late enrolling students, and also addresses the violation process, and that's been simplified as the AG will be handling that. And then the other language is, we had language in there basically as far as a penalty being 2% of the budget, and we realized that meant like the whole school budget. That's been reduced to anywhere from 10% to $50,000 at the discretion of our Attorney General. These are fantastic amendments. We also removed language unnecessarily addressing collegiate athletics. So these are fantastic amendments, and we look forward to having this
Amendments are
further
good.
debated on the floor. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I think that encapsulates all that we were trying to do with the amendments.
Thank you, good lady. Is there any further debate in favor of the amendment? The lady from 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would the good lady stand for a question, please?
Lady stand.
Absolutely.
The lady
Thank
stand.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good lady, on line 8, where you're saying it can be $50,000, whichever is greater, that or the amount coming out of the budget, what was the amount in the current bill? I don't have that in front of me, and it came this morning.
Wait,
Good one. Good lady.
what was what?
Lady, would you repeat your question?
I will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good lady. So in this amendment, it's talking about delete 2%, insert 10%, which I'm assuming that's 10% of the budget, or $50,000, whichever would be greater. And what I'm asking in the original bill, because this has come up awfully quick today since that bill was just heard in education this morning. So if you could share with the body, what is the change in that? Was it originally 50,000, or has it gone up to 50,000 from another number?
Good lady.
Mr. Chairman, good lady, I'm so sorry, I'd only not heard part of that. Yes. So originally, the 2%, we realized it was could be construed as 2% of the entire budget, like the entire university budget. And that was not the intent, nor in looking at some of the model language had that been used too. So it was, the idea is to get it to 10%, or $50,000, because if there is a violation, we want them to recognize that it hurts just a little bit. And so 10% or
Yes, make the
$50,000,
universities hurt if they're
and that's
violating
up
DEI
to.
policies.
That would also be at the discretion of the Attorney General. So that gives a little bit of a, breathing, working room in there. But the 2% ended up being a much higher number. So we adjusted this to a much lower number.
Thank you.
Is there any further debate in favor of the amendment? Gentleman, point 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to let the body know, this is the result of work through the summer, work through this whole session. This is a really good bill. We need to get this moving forward.
I agree.
realize there's some teeth in there that might make people nervous, but people have to know that the state of Idaho is serious about ridding our education system of this kind of philosophy and thought. This is a good bill. I hope for your approval of this, and we can move forward with it.
I did carry a resolution to the Idaho Republican Party winter meeting
Is there
about
any
this very
debate
bill.
in opposition of the amendment? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall the amendments to Section 2 be adopted? All those in favor state by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried, and the amendments to Section 2 adopted. Are there further sections to the amendment?
No further sections.
Is there correction to title?
No correction to title.
Gentleman for 22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that when the committee rise a report that has had under consideration Senate Bill 1198 and report it back with amendments and without recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, I
Why
second
they
the
do it
motion.
without
Heard
recommendation.
the motion. All those in favor state by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Gentleman for 22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that when the committee rise a report that has had under consideration House Bill 379, report progress and beg leave to sit again.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. The gentleman for 22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that the committee rise and report.
Oh, so we got two bills.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor state by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries, and the committee as a whole is dissolved.
Representative Tanner did not hit the Thor's hammer with quite as much vigor as Speaker Moyle. All right, guys, back to work. So we'll see what they get to here once they return.
I'm afraid. We'll be in order. Gentleman 14, good lady from 33. Gentleman 14.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. We, your committee as a whole, report back that we have had under consideration Senate Bill 1142 and Senate Bill 1198 and report them back with recommendation as amended. We've also had
No
under
recommendation.
consideration House Joint Memorial 2, House Bill 387, House Bill 437, House Concurrent Resolution 19, House Bill 379, and Senate Bill 1066 as amended, and report progress and beg leave sit again. Mr. Speaker, I move that the report be adopted.
Gentleman 15.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay.
I wonder where Representative
Motion
Rebell is
passes.
this
In
week.
Senate Bill 1142 and 1198, we filed for the first reading calendar, and House Joint Memorial 2, House Bill 387, 437, House Concurrent Resolution 19, House Bill 379, and Senate Bill 1066 as amended will be retained on general orders. The House will now, without objection, return to the seventh order of business, motions, memorials, and resolutions. House at the seventh order of business. Gentleman 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for a privilege and a motion.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the second reading calendar. We're going to go ahead and work down that. And then afterwards, we'd like to go down to that suspension calendar so we can get as much done as possible tonight. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move that all rules interfering with the immediate consideration of Senate Bill 1203 be suspended, making it possible for the immediate consideration of Senate Bill 1203.
Health and welfare
Jump
appropriation.
15.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
You've heard the motion. It's a non-debatable motion. It requires
Move Health and
two-thirds of the
Welfare
body before
Independent
the Senate votes
Council,
pass.
Domestic Violence
Clerk will
Council,
lock the
Children's Advocacy Centers, Developmental Disabilities
Clerk will lock the
Council.
machine. Members will cast their vote.
Provides an additional $3 million to the maintenance appropriation. So it's a 20% increase on their maintenance budget.
Representative Cannon. Has every member voted? Does anybody change their vote? Clerk will lock the machine and record the roll. 65 ayes, 5 absent and excused, more than two-thirds of the body having voted in favor of the motion passes, and the House will have under consideration Senate Bill 1203. Good gentleman, 31.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd ask to dispense with further reading of Senate Bill 1201. 1203.
1203, unanimous consent has been requested. Is there objection?
Whichever.
Hearing none, gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the appropriation budget for the Department of Health and Welfare.
So why do they
for
need an
Division of
additional $3
Independent
million?
Counsels, and for the Domestic Violence
See what
Council.
Representative Furness says.
Take a look at the fiscal note there. It has one enhancement on Table 1. Shows a $3 million one-time for the general fund, from the general fund to support the children's advocacy centers located throughout the state. In Section 1602, Paragraph 11, Idaho Code, says the Child Advocacy Center, or CAC, as an organization that adheres to the national best practice standards established by the National Membership and Accrediting Body for Children's Advocacy Centers, and that promotes a comprehensive and coordinated multidisciplinary team response to allegations of child abuse by maintaining a child-friendly facility at which appropriate services are provided. These services may include forensic interviews, forensic medical examinations, mental health services, and other related victims. So these child advocacy centers are located throughout the state. In fact, there's one in Boise, one in Magic Valley, one in Pocatello, one in Nampa, one in Rigby, one in Coeur d'Alene, and one in Sandpoint.
Here, if anyone's in the chat,
And these centers,
Bill.
when you walk in, I had the opportunity to visit the Rigby Center. When you walk in, you'll see children's toys, you'll see really warm, friendly colors.
$3 million
And what they
from the
have
general
here
fund
in
to be
these
expended for
facilities
trustee
are,
and benefit payments.
Video cameras and
Purpose of children's
rooms with
advocacy.
couches and chairs, that really a comfortable room. And then the people there that run these centers have been trained to interview children that have been sexually abused in such a way that they tell their story in a non-combative, uniform way. And then they're videotaped in these interviews so that they can use the videotape in court to catch these dirtbags that are offending children. And what we see when that happens is we see that we see the stronger prosecution outcomes. We see a 40% increase in successful prosecutions of sexual abuse when we can use the videotape. Instead of putting the kids in the courtroom, we can just use the videotape. And these centers facilitate the capturing of these video in such a way that they know how to prosecute those that have done it. They have a 95% conviction rate when they use the videos. They have a 27, that goes from 13 years on conviction to 27 years when they use the videos. They're able to catch, a lot of these times these kids aren't forensically examined. And so they're able to catch almost half the kids in an examination where they were losing these examinations before in other facilities. So when a child gets molested in the middle of the night, the police need to take that child somewhere. These people in these centers show up, they take care of the child, they make them comfortable, and then they interview the child. These centers are extremely important. Over the years, the funding for these centers have decreased. And so the $3 million is to catch them up to the 2023 level of funding. And it's a grant process. Each one of these centers will make a grant application to the Domestic Violence Council, and then the money will be awarded through that council. And these
Very
are to catch up appropriations. Without this increased $3 million, we'll see some of these centers close. And so with that, Mr. Speaker, I'd ask that we do the green light and we catch these dirt bags that are doing this.
For the motion, for debate on the motion, gentleman from 9.
Representative Furness sounds very tough.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate in favor.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As some of you know, I've sat up on a couple of these bills that have to do with child exploitation a lot this session, and I think this just wraps into a lot of things that we have been doing. We've moved the ball forward on other pieces of legislation, and this is just another bill that helps us put behind bars serial predators, child predators, the people who prey upon the weakest members in our society. I spend a lot of time in these child advocacy centers where they do this type of work, and they are underfunded. Spend time in Pocatello, the ones in Idaho Falls, Twin Falls, the ones over here. These people are truly doing the Lord's work. When a child is molested, they feel so much shame. It is hard to get them to talk about it. It takes a lot of time to get them through the interview process to be able to actually open up. And how it works legally in court, we have a mechanism. If you have a videotaped interview and the child is young enough and they're unable to come in and testify against someone, there's opportunities to be able to use that. And I've used these exact centers to put people in prison for years and years. There's things that we can quibble about with budgets, things that we think we might need to put more money here, more money there. This is not the type of legislation to quibble about.
Representative
This is the type
Schertz
of
was an
legislation
assistant
to say
U.S. attorney
that
in
we
the
as
Trump
a body
administration.
are collectively against sexual predators. I hope to see every single green light
Served
on
in the
that
Air Force
board,
as a JAG
because
officer.
this is not the type of bill where we want to say otherwise. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For debate on the motion, gentleman 33.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just declare a potential conflict. I make referrals to these centers often, and some of the members that may potentially receive funds serve on the board of directors for my organization that I work with.
Thank you, gentlemen. Your declaration will be noted in the journal. Is there further debate on the motion? Hearing none, hearing no negative debate, debate is closed. Question is, shall Senate Bill 1203 pass the House?
All right, what's your guess? It's a increase from last year's budget of 20%, so that's going to knock out at least
Clerk will announce
5
the team. Members will cast their votes.
who've taken that pledge to only go up 1.2%. Who else? Think it gets up to 10 or 15 no votes? Maybe more.
Has every member
sure.
voted?
Show us the board, dude. 9.
Does any member wish to change their vote?
10.
Clerk will lock the machine and record the pairs.
11.
Mormon votes aye. Hostetler votes nay. Rubel votes aye. Razor votes nay.
56 aye, 11 nay, 3 absent, and excused. Majority having voted in favor of Senate Bill 1203. Senate Bill 1203 is passed the House. Is there correction title?
No correction to title.
Hearing none, the title is approved. Bill will be transferred to the Senate.
There you go.
Gentleman 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that the roll call used for suspension rules on Senate Bill 1203 now be used for the suspension rules on Senate Bill 1204, making it possible for the immediate consideration of Senate Bill 1204.
Unanimous consent's been requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, the roll call used suspension rules on Senate Bill 1203 with 65 ayes, 5 absent, and excused. The rules are suspended. The House will have under consideration Senate Bill 1204. Gentleman 14.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of Senate Bill 1204.
Unanimous consent's been
The
requested. Is there
appropriation for the
objection?
executive office of the
Gentleman has the floor.
governor,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is
an additional $295,000.
for, I guess it shouldn't be the trailer, but the enhancement appropriation for the executive office of the governor. Deals with 2 additional items within it. One deals with some ICT hardware, which is $45,000. The other one is a $250,000 one-time general fund appropriation that matches up with the White House Task Force on the celebration of America's 250, known as the Federal Task Force 250. Just follows through the federal aspects and on that. With that, I'm standing for any questions, but would ask for your green light.
This one's
Third
up
date on the motion.
3.5% from the fiscal year
Hearing none,
2025
hearing no negative debate, debate is closed.
appropriation.
Question is, shall Senate Bill 1204 pass the House? Clerk will lock machine. Members will cast their votes.
$45,000 for IT hardware, $250,000 for the America 250. What do you think of that? Should we spend
Has
taxpayer
every member
dollars
voted?
celebrating the 250th anniversary of America?
Birch.
Wonder what he's going to
Does any
do.
members change their vote? Clerk will lock machine. Record the pairs.
Rubel votes aye. Razor votes nay.
55 ayes, 11 nays, 4 absent and excused. Majority having voted in favor of Senate Bill
Same
1104.
vote as last
Senate Bill 1204. Senate Bill 1204
Except
is
some,
passed House.
some of the
Correction
ayes and
title.
nays are
No
different.
correction to title.
And the title is approved. Bill be transferred to the Senate. Gem 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ask unanimous consent that the roll call used for suspension on Senate Bill 1203 now be used for the suspension rules on House Bill 470, making it possible for the immediate consideration of House Bill
What's
470.
470?
Unanimous consent been requested. Objection. Hearing none, the roll
I'm
call
not
use
even on the
suspension
page. I
rules
need to
on Senate Bill
refresh it.
1203 with 65 ayes, 5 and absent and
There we
excused.
are.
Rules are suspended. The House will have for consideration.
State
House
personnel
Bill
reduction in
470.
travel.
Good gentleman, 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to refer to pending legislation.
Unanimous consent has been requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, the good gentleman may do so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good ladies and gentlemen, this bill should look very familiar to a bill that's hung up over on the Senate. I think it's House Bill 413 that we passed off of this body already, but they have had some concerns with it, and so we decided to address those concerns, some of them, and move it forward. For your information on the House side, that 413 passed 65-4, and this bill here, I think, addresses any of those other concerns that you may have had. So what this bill does, it's the bill that looks at the FTPs that an agency has, and it asks them to do a couple things. Every department, they're supposed to identify the number of currently vacant FTPs, how long they've been there, and kind of let us know what they're going to do with it. The previous version told them that they had to be eliminated. This one, they may eliminate them, or they can ask for them back. They just have to specify that. That's the big difference between the previous bills. I'll keep the debate short there. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'd ask for your green light on this one.
Sounds reasonable.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the motion. For debate on the motion. Hearing none. Hearing no negative debate. Debate is closed. Question is, shall House Bill 470 pass the House?
Everyone should vote for this, right?
Clerk will lock the machine. Members will cast their votes. Has every member voted? Birch. Church.
Birch and Church.
Representative Church. Does any members change their vote? Clerk will lock the machine and record the roll.
There you go.
65
Unanimous.
ayes, 5 absent and excused. Majority having voted in favor of House Bill 470. House Bill 470 is passed House. Correction to title.
No correction to title.
Hearing none, the title is approved. Bill will be transferred to Senate. Jump 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ask unanimous consent to the roll call used for suspension rules on Senate Bill 1203 now be used for the suspension rules on House Bill 6 as amended in the Senate, making it possible for the immediate consideration of House Bill 6 as amended in the Senate.
You're going back to a single-digit bill here.
Is there objection? Hearing none, the roll call used suspension rules on House
This is the
Bill
one that
1203,
allows,
where Senate Bill 1203, where 65 ayes, 5 absent, excused. The rules are suspended. and
the Attorney
House Bill
General to
consideration.
investigate
House Bill 6 is amended in the Senate.
county
22.
officials.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 6, you all, the good body, you may
House of
recognize this.
Representatives, House Bill 6 as
I ask
amended in the
unanimous
Senate.
consent to dispense reading with House Bill 6.
Oh, you went and did it. You irritated the clerk. Unanimous consent has been requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, the gentleman has the floor.
House Bill 6 passed this body in January 21st, which seems like forever ago. It sat over in the Senate for a while. They amended it. They just made sure that the Attorney General would not have exclusive jurisdiction in the investigation. This allows the Attorney General to be able to look into city elected officials. And with that, I ask for your green light.
Yeah,
Ladies
that's
and
right.
gentlemen, you've heard the motion.
Existing
Is there
law
debate
allows
on
the Attorney
motion?
General to investigate county officials, but not city
Hearing
officials.
none, hearing no negative debate.
Bringing it
Debate is
into
closed.
the
Question
same
is,
thing.
House Bill 6 is amended in the Senate. Pass the House.
Passed the House 56-11-3 the first time. And then was
Clerk will
amended in
lock
the
the
Senate,
machine
passed
and cast the votes.
28-5-2. Democrats,
We
a lot
now
of Democrats
return to-
voted against him. Come on, Idaho Public TV. For goodness sakes. One job. One job. Anyway,
Has everyone voted?
mostly Democrats voting against it with a couple of
Does any
Republicans.
member wish to change their vote? Tanner 14. Clerk will lock the machine and record the roll.
There you go. 58.
58 ayes.
8-4.
Clerk will read the pairs.
Rain 12 votes aye, Rubel votes nay.
58 ayes, 8 nay, 4 absent and excused. Majority having voted in favor of House Bill 6 as amended in the Senate. House Bill 6 amended in the Senate is passed. House. Correction title.
No correction to title.
Hearing none, title's approved.
There you
Bill
go.
is transmitted to the Senate.
Good work, Representative Bruce.
Enrolling, enrolling. I always mess it up. Referred to the Judiciary Rules Administration Committee for enrolling. Good gentleman, 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that the roll call used for suspension of rules on Senate Bill 1203 now be used for the suspension of rules on House Bill 339 as amended in the Senate, making it possible for the immediate consideration of House Bill 339 as amended in the Senate.
The abstention been requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, the roll call used suspension of rules on Senate Bill 1203 were 65 ayes, 5 absent and excused. The rules are suspended. The House will have in consideration House Bill 339 as amended in the Senate. Good gentleman,
339.
6.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 339.
Accuracy
The
of
abstention
voter
been requested. Is there
registrations.
objection? Hearing none, gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the body, back on March 10th, this bill
Checking
passed the
citizenship.
House 64-5. And this is basically the bill that makes it citizenship, brings citizenship into our voting and our election integrity. It also sets into code things that the Secretary of State's already doing, but when we change out Secretary of State, it'll keep that in code, so they have to continue to do it. Things like verifying people are still alive, keeping our voter rolls clean and whatnot. So I'm not going to go too much into that. This one's been amended in the Senate, and the amendments were actually friendly amendments and made this bill even better because it limited how long the Secretary of State could keep the data that he does have to look at. Keeps it as long up to 30 days, but if he gets it done within a week, then he doesn't have to keep it any longer than that, so he has to get rid of it. So anyway, that's to protect all that, and this is to protect our elections, so I ask for your green light.
Any gentleman heard the motion? Is for debate on the motion. Gentleman from 20.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My spouse is a lobbyist, and she may have worked on this bill. Just wanted to put that conflict out there. Thank you.
Conflict with noted in the journal. For debate on the motion. Hearing none, hearing no negative debate, debate is closed. Question issue, House Bill 339 is amended in the Senate. Pass the House. Clerk will unlock the machine. Members will cast their votes.
This one shouldn't get any no votes. Even the Democrats should support making sure only U.S. citizens vote. No, Gang of Eight is voting
Has
against
every
this
member
one.
voted?
Why? I was reading about another one while he was talking.
Representative Price.
Representative Racer is voting against. Representative Hawkins, Representative Scott. Okay, well, maybe there's some
Members
issues with
change
it.
their vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the roll. 55 ayes, 10 nay, 5 absent, excused. Majority having voted in favor of House Bill 339 as amended in the Senate. House Bill 339 is amended in the Senate. Passed the House. Correction to title.
No correction to title.
Hearing none, the bill will be referred to the Judiciary Rules Administration Committee for enrolling. Gentleman, 22.
Secretary of State shall process voter registration data in a secure cloud
Mr. Speaker,
system.
ask unanimous consent that the roll call
Probably
used
the
for
reason.
suspension of rules
Worries about
on Senate Bill
privacy and
1203 now be used
security.
for the suspension of rules on House Bill 475, making it possible for the immediate consideration of House Bill
475.
That's 10th been requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, the roll call used suspension rules on House Bill on Senate Bill 1203 were 65 ayes, 5 absent, excused. The rules are suspended. The House will have in consideration
Public
House Bill
Schools
475. Good gentleman, 21.
Division of Central
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Services.
I'd ask unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 475.
An additional
That's 10th been
$600,000.
requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill
Routing
475
software.
should look a little bit familiar. This is the appropriation bill for central services within the K-12 budget. You'll remember that there was a $5 million request by the superintendent to do a transportation routing software pilot program that we had brought down to $2.2 million in the last version of this budget that you saw. We've now dropped that down to $600,000 so that it is a much smaller pilot program. There was also some concerns around reporting and finding out what exactly the cost savings would be. So we added additional language to require that any district who does use this program from the state, use this pilot program, they have to track any savings that they receive and then report that to us so that we can then decide what to do with those savings. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'd ask for a green light.
It does go up
Heard the motion.
4.2% from
Motion.
last year's appropriation, so you're going to get at least 5 no's.
Hearing none, hearing no negative debate, debate is closed. Question issue, House Bill 475. Pass the House.
So pilot program for student
Clerk will lock
transportation
the
routing
machine. Members will cast their
software.
votes.
What software? Okay, I was in the IT world, but I'm not, super. It's been a while. Well, I wonder what routing transportation software costs $600,000, and they
Has
brought it
every
down from
member voted?
$2 million. Holy cow, they're going to kill it. No? Oh.
Harris.
Oh.
Does anyone wish to
People are
change
switching their votes around.
Does anyone wish to change their vote? Clerk will lock machine, record the roll.
Pow.
And read the pairs, excuse me.
Rubel votes aye. Beiswinger
All right,
votes
they're
nay.
not getting out of here this week.
31 ayes, 35 nay, 4 absent and excused. Less than majority having voted in favor of House Bill 475. House Bill 475 has failed to pass the House to be filed in the office of Chief Clerk. Gentleman 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to the roll call used for suspension of rules on Senate Bill 1203 now be used for the suspension of rules on House Bill 476, making it possible for the immediate consideration of House Bill 476.
Okay, what is
Requested
476?
objection. Hearing none, the roll call
Appropriations
used
State Board of
suspension rules on
Education.
Senate Bill 1203 were 65 ayes, 5 absent and excused. The rules are suspended. The House will have a consideration. House Bill 476.
It's like an additional $360,000.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd ask
230
unanimous
from
consent to
general
dispense with
fund,
any further reading of House Bill
131 from
476.
dedicated.
That's been requested. Is there objection? Hearing none, gentleman has the floor to present the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 476 is the appropriation bill for the Office of the State Board of Education. Again, this one should look a little bit familiar. Last time around, we had cut $11 million out of the request. This time around, we've cut $16 million. There's basically nothing of any substance left in this budget bill. We did cut out the $5 million that was requested by the gentleman on the second floor for capacity enhancements at higher education institutions. We have just left in that we felt like were necessary for the division to continue to operate. With that, I'd ask for a green light.
Basically, Representative Pesky says that it's
Gentleman,
they've cut
25.
everything possible.
Thank you, Mr.
We
Speaker.
cannot cut
Would the
anymore.
gentleman from 21 stand for a question?
Gentleman yield a question.
Gentleman yields.
Gentleman yields.
Thank you. I have a question. I've been seeing a lot with the Office for Information Technology on several of these appropriation bills. Can you tell me who is the main vendor for these contracts and how I might be able to obtain more information on these contracts?
Gentleman 21.
Clarification, Mr. Speaker, are you asking about line item 15, the OITS hardware line?
Gentleman
Yes, sir.
25.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, sir.
Gentleman 21.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So what that line item is the Office of Information Technology Services every year, they go through with every agency and they recommend what specific hardware updates each agency needs to make so that they can keep up with their cybersecurity threats. So for example, they'll go around to all the servers and all the laptops and say, okay, this one's out of date. If you don't replace it, you're potentially at risk. And so they make a recommendation to each agency for what hardware needs to be replaced. That then goes through the budget setting process. And for each agency, or just about every agency, you will see a line item for OITS hardware that basically just reflects what OITS has said each agency needs to do. I don't know, to give you a specific vendor, that's a little bit tricky because it's going to be different for every agency because there's so many different types of hardware, obviously, that agencies buy.
Gentleman 25.
Thank you. That's all.
For debate on the motion, lady from 6.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, for a question.
Gentleman 21 yields the question.
Gentleman yields.
Gentleman yields.
Thank you, good gentleman. Thank you for your hard work. 16 million that was pulled out. Where was that pulled out of this budget?
Gentleman 21.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The 15 million of it was the gentleman on the second floor's request for capacity enhancements at the higher education institutions. If you look at the fiscal note on this bill, you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of line items that are zeros. Those reflect all the ones that we pulled out. For example, there was, I believe, 4 or 5 positions that we pulled out. There was a independent study Idaho program that we looked at, and we felt like that program, honestly, just it was not a viable program, and so there was no need to provide additional funding for that. There was line item number 10, the grant administration for firearm safety program. That line item we looked at, and there was actually a policy bill that fixed the issue that was going on there. But yeah, it was several positions, it was several programs that OSB had requested that we looked at, and we just decided that they didn't need to be funded. OSB actually came to us, and they were willing to negotiate and tell us what things were highest priority and which ones weren't, and so we reflected some of that in their requests.
Lady from 6.
A follow-up.
Gentleman 21 yield to an additional question.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman
Okay,
yields.
so the 15 million from the good gentleman on the second floor for capacity building, that was one, but the other, then all the other programs fit into the other additional million that was cut, is that correct?
Gem 21.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. So yeah, 15 million came out of the one time the money from the governor's initiative. The other, a little bit over $1 million, we pulled out of the remainder of the line items that were in the request.
Thank you. To debate the bill.
Lady from 6 has the floor.
I know we're tired and we want to go home, but the 15 million that has come off of this budget is funding for capacity building for our colleges. And we saw
McCann's going to vote against this bill because it
the,
doesn't spend enough.
numbers that we have
That's amusing.
that need to expand in their programs, and that this funding would do just that. So when we are saying we send a bill back, it doesn't necessarily mean, in my opinion, that I'm happy that we've cut all of these things out of a budget. And on this particular budget, that 15 million is extremely important, and for those reasons, I will be voting no on this budget.
Further debate on the motion. Hearing none, will the gentleman from 21 care to close the debate?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And good lady, I agree that $15 million probably would have helped with a lot of the wait lists that we see at our career technical education programs. We've tried that. Obviously, it did not get out of JFAC and then did not get out of the floor. So this is where we're at with this one. So I'd encourage a green light.
Kind of feel bad for Representative Petsky there.
House Bill 476 passed the House.
He's one that doesn't mind spending more money, but he recognizes that they're not going to be able to spend all that money.
There's cast votes.
See if they kill this one again. Crane against it. Skog, the Tanners, Thompson, Cornelis.
Has every member voted?
Maybe for the same reason as McCann. Looks like they're just going to get it across the finish line.
Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk will lock machine, record the roll. Read the pairs.
Mormon votes aye. Crane 12 votes nay. Rubel votes aye. Beiswinger votes nay.
40 ayes, 27 nay, 3 absent and excused. Majority having voted in favor of House
now
Bill
goes to the Senate.
476. House Bill 476
what the Senate does with that.
No correction to title.
Hearing none, the title approved. Bill transmitted to the Senate. Gentleman 22.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that the roll call used for suspension rules on Senate Bill 1203 now used for the suspension rules on House Bill 477, making it possible for the immediate consideration of House Bill 477.
Asked has been requested.
77.
Hearing none, roll call use suspension rules on
Health
Senate
and
Bill
welfare,
1203,
youth
65
safety.
ayes, 5 absent, excused. The rules are suspended. The House have a
An
consideration.
additional $420,000.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 477.
It addresses
Requested. Is there objection?
extended care for youth aging out of the foster care
Mr. Speaker,
system.
this
not
is
to
a
exceed age
trailer
23.
appropriation for House Bill 245 that passes passes body already and signed by the governor on March 21st. This deals with the foster care system, so this deals with under certain limited circumstances that they can go from the age 21 up to age 23 for some funding aspects. With that, I'd stand for any questions, but would ask for your green light.
Thank you, gentlemen. You've heard the motion. Further debate on the motion? Hearing none, hearing no debate. Debate is closed. Question issue. House Bill 477 passed the House. Clerk will unlock machine. Members cast their votes.
Will they?
She gets pairs in.
Hello? Come on, Idaho Public TV. After this one's done, I'm going to say goodnight. Children are coming home from school, and I want to see them. There we go. We have a board. Let's see, a couple conservatives voting against this one. Democrats supporting it. Democrats love spending money, unless it's on.
Has every member voted?
Stuff.
Kyler.
Kyler? It's Kaler.
Matthias. Erickson. Members change their vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the roll.
You have 50
Report
votes.
the pairs.
Mormon votes aye. Levitt votes
All
nay.
right, I'm going to end the
Rubel
stream
votes
now.
aye.
Go
Martin
to
votes nay.
GemStateChronicle.com and click Watch the Legislature to continue watching. Or click the legislative live streams, I guess I call it on the page.
Bill to transmit to the Senate.
Yeah, check it out.